What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. We are back, and maybe with an imminent bomber as well. We got a lot to get through this stream, so I guess let's just get straight into it.
There's always an imminent bomber this summer, it seems. There's always a bomber on around the corner. Never be too long.
For all you bomber addicts, I think it's coming, people. I think it's coming, albeit I've said it.
He's been saying it for a while.
Time, probably since last summer. So
we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it tomorrow. We're gonna get it this week. We're gonna get it next week. Hasn't come yet,
but it's coming.
They're edging.
It's coming. Creeping closer, edging closer, whatever you want to call it. First of all, you know where to go for all your football shirts. OK Jersey is the place. You get 10% off with our code SPURS. They've got all the new Spurs stuff, home shirt, away shirt, retro jerseys, World Cup jerseys, around the Premier League, around the world, around the continent. Literally anything that you want, they have got you covered. Top quality. Remember to order a size up, but it really is unbelievable quality. So if you haven't got yours already, the link is in the description or in the live chat along with the code. So get yours today. Don't wait till tomorrow, people.
Come on. 10% off as well. Use our code SPURS. They're already very well priced, but even more well priced with our code. So go check it out. Best replica shirts on the market.
There's been a super chat here saying Romero should not come back to Spurs or England, especially after the stunt holding the banner after England match about the Falklands.
Yeah, they held a sign after the game.
It was like mainly like him and Lo Celso.
Yeah, I think Latara, I think, was probably wasn't he part of it? Anyway, yeah, the people aren't happy about it.
Yeah,
I don't know what to say really about it. People are going to have their own opinions.
Is what it is. Is what it is. He probably won't be a Spurs player anyway next season.
He ain't coming back, so I don't think you have to worry about that. He was class, I thought, in that game though.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been class all World Cup. He always is for Argentina. All right, big up. 700 of you in here early doors already, clucking for some transfer news. So let's get straight into it, and we're going to start off talking about Lucas Bergvall, as there has been a bit of a development. So Simon Jones says that Nottingham Forest are preparing a new 45 million bid for Lucas Bergvall. Sammy Mockbell also saying that basically the same thing, that Nottingham Forest are now set to make an improved offer of 45 million pounds for Lucas Bergvall. If that is true, I think that's going to be the deal that gets done.
Sounds like we want 50. So I think it's getting closer, isn't it? I think it'll probably be 45, probably plus some add-ons, probably plus a sell-on percentage, probably plus some sort of clause in there of a buy. I don't know, what, first refusal or whatever, all these things they like to put in it. Rafi Mawson has been very good at putting in these clauses for all the deals that we've done so far. So I'm sure these are going to be kind of non-negotiables when it comes to selling Bergvall to Forest. But 45 million sounds like we're nearly there, I think. And as we've said many times, it is a shame. I think we all would love to see Bergvall fulfill his potential in a Tottenham shirt rather than somewhere else. But it seems that the timing and the way things have gone, ever since he's come, and also with De Zerbi and the way we've acted this summer, there has to be some casualties and some compromises. And it seems as though Bergvall is going to be one of the biggest casualties for us when it comes to... It is getting a good fee, so it's not like the end of the world, but... It's just a shame that, I think we all had very high hopes and still do for Lucas Bergvall and his talent, and we've seen it in the Spurs shirt. But when you're getting that kind of fee, when you've got the midfielders coming through the door that we've got, and you've got Bergvall, looking to really kick on from a couple of years ago when he's kind of stagnated a bit, that's kind of the inevitable conclusion, it seems, of this story. So hopefully we reinvest the money and it goes towards improving the squad. And as long as that happens, I don't think we're going to have too many complaints. Yeah. But, of course, just like with Vuskovic, there's going to be a lot of fans thinking, is this a big mistake? Well, I guess we'll see.
Look, it very well could be. And when you look at the players that we've got right now, obviously we've got the two new signings in Fernandes and Tonali. But after that, you're looking at the moment on the books, Pape Sarr, Conor Gallagher, Archie Gray, Rodrigo Bentancur. Me personally, I'd prefer probably to prioritise Bergvall over the majority of those. So It is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. You know, we're on to bigger and better things. We're going to be signing more players, and I'm sure more players in the future. And, you know, the hope is that this, as much as he probably will still go on to be a top player, it shouldn't hurt us too much with the way we're set up now and the way we're doing our transfer business. So, yeah, look, it is what it is. What can you do?
And just like with Vuskovic, signing a player for, what was it, 15 million or whatever it was. How much did we sign him for? 10 million? I can't remember. But, you know, getting 50 million for him after a couple of years when he's not just gone 20. I mean, it is sound business in that sense, and we have to be better at selling players. And when you're getting those kind of offers, you have to maybe sell when there's opportunity and bring more money in than we have done in the past. So, you know, getting 100 million, let's be honest, we're going to get 100 million for Vuskovic and Bergvall. I mean, if that is good business. What can I say about that? One Vuskovic and Bergvall gets you a Tonali.
Yeah,
that's 100 million right there. So I don't think we can really complain. When I think in previous years, I think there would be more to complain about doing a deal like this, because would we really reinvested the money in a big player, and would we have done it right? But in this instance, when you're getting players like Tonali and Fernandes and you're getting this kind of money through the door, I mean, I can't really sit here and say I'm angry about it too much, because you're selling two youngsters who have potential. They're not the ready-made stars yet, and you're getting someone like Tonali, who's been one of the best midfielders over the past few years in the Premier League. So you've got to say fair play to Spurs. It is good business objectively. We'll see, you know, down the line whether, in hindsight, this is the right move, or how much Bergvall is going to be worth in the future and all that kind of stuff. But right here, right now, I think 100 million for those two players, I don't think I could complain about that.
Look, objectively, it is good business, for sure, when you're looking at what we bought them for, what we're going to sell them for. But it's just a shame, isn't it? It's just a shame, because, you know, these guys are top talents, and I do think that they can go very far in the game. They could be very, very good Premier League footballers. So from that aspect, it is a shame that we're letting them go so early on when we had such high hopes for them. But I now trust that this club are going to reinvest the money properly. So as much as it's a shame, we're not going to lose too much sleep over it.
Yeah, when you've got top talent coming through the door that are established, then it doesn't really matter if Bergvall turns out to be a top talent, because we got one already. So if we're going to have one right now starting in our midfield, you know, for the same price you're getting a Vuskovic and a Bergvall, I think that's fine. I think it, you know, doesn't really make too much difference to me. You know, maybe Bergvall turns out to be better than tonight, but right now he isn't, and that's only a maybe right now, isn't it? So I think right now it makes sense.
Yeah, we can't be dealing in ifs, buts, and maybes anymore. We got to be dealing in absolutes, and
Exactly.
That's what we're doing right now. Let's talk about Vicario. Tom Ornut said last night that Juventus have held inquiries with Tottenham for Vicario this week. £25 million is a lot for a Serie A club. Perhaps a loan with an option is going to be the way they go, but he'd be very surprised if he was at Spurs come the end of August. So this week has been some new talks with Tottenham and Juventus for Vicario.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, the valuation of Vicario, because whatever you want to say about how his last season went, and it didn't go well last season, maybe due to the hernia and whatever reasons, like we signed him for 17 million. And in theory, his stock should have grown. And I don't think 25 million for a goalkeeper of Vicario's quality is outrageous. I think that's a fair deal. Yes, he didn't have the best of seasons last season, but I think he's shown for enough appearances for me in a Tottenham shirt that he's a good keeper, and that he's Premier League quality at the very least, and he's a good quality keeper. I don't think last season's form should overshadow the majority of his time at Tottenham, which I think was pretty positive in my opinion. So I think his value increasing from 17 to 25 is not unfair. But when you're looking to sell him to Serie A clubs, as he said, they don't have a lot of money. He wants to go back to Italy. They're the ones most interested at the moment. So then you have to, if he wants to leave, or especially you want to sell him, I guess there has to be a compromise if you're selling him to Serie A. Obviously, if it's a Premier League club, then 25 million should be the price. I don't think that's unfair. But if it's Juventus, Napoli, whoever, yeah, you're going to have to make a compromise there. Maybe a loan with an obligation of 20 million, something like that. I think that's a fair deal if we can get that done.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know if we're going to get as high as 20 million. I got a feeling we might just break even or even make a slight loss on it. It's not too dissimilar to the Romero situation. You know what you were saying, you know, he wants to go, we want to sell. Everyone knows that. So the price will get driven down because of that, particularly with the clubs that want to buy him. So Vicario's not too dissimilar, is he?
Yeah, the only thing is Romero, I think, is got higher standing because of his exploits for Argentina. You know, Vicario is obviously number 2 for Italy, and he's not got the same standing in the game as someone like Acuti Romero. So I think, again, with Romero, we should be within our rights to ask for more. Yeah, it's a similar situation, to be fair. It is a similar situation. And I think in both scenarios, we're probably not going to make the fee that we could have made in other situations, but it won't be so much less that it's going to be too much of a difference anyway.
Yeah. Next, let's talk about Richarlison, because Tom Allnut was talking yesterday on Richarlison as well. And also, who was it that was speaking about Richarlison? Paul O'Keefe about Richarlison. we brought you the news on him yesterday, saying that Juventus potentially interested. But Tom Allnut saying Richarlison could leave if they receive a good offer this summer. However, the Brazilian is happy at Tottenham. He is happy in England and settled. He's got 1 year left in his contract with the option to extend as well. If he did leave, he wants to stay in the Premier League. And Paul O'Keefe as well is saying that Richarlison wants to stay at Tottenham this summer. However, the club would like to sell. I feel like it's like Groundhog Day every year with Richarlison.
Yeah, I know.
It's the same thing, isn't it? Like the first few weeks of the window, Richarlison linked to Turkey, Richarlison linked to Saudi, Richarlison linked here, there and everywhere. And then ultimately, he doesn't want to leave. He's very happy at Spurs and we can't find the right deals for him to leave.
I'm just going to pop down the pub to see if there's any change on his wife's personal trainer, see if she signed on again, and I'll let you know. It doesn't surprise me if, obviously Richie knows he ain't getting any better than... Well, I mean, reportedly Juventus is interested, but I think right now, I don't think he's going to go to Juve. I think his options are going to be limited to Saudi and Turkey and those kind of places. So if you're Richie, he's just got a British passport, hasn't he? He's probably settled in London. He probably loves being at Tottenham. He probably, you know, I think he does have quite a good rapport with the fans. Like, I think that, you know, the fans do love him as much as there is some frustration. I think, you know, he's a bit of a cult hero, like everyone knows he tries his best, and you know he does get a few goals here and there, and he's got a lovable character. But I think we also know he's a limited footballer at this current iteration of Richarlison, and we need to do better, and we need to upgrade on him right now. And his injuries, I think, have taken his toll on him over the years, especially over the last few years, and he doesn't seem athletically the same player as much as he's still capable of getting goals. I think physically he's just not the same as he was, especially when he was at Everton. So I think Tottenham need to sell, and I think even if it's not the best deal, we need to move on from him. I think last season I was of the opinion you should stick to your price, but this season I think you should be willing to lower it. And I can see someone coming in for a good price, but I guess you can't force him out. But surely he doesn't want to be a bit part player here, does he? Does he back himself to still be our starting number 9? I think he should know. I think, does he not come to the realisation that his time is up? Albeit, I guess over the definitely last season, he was our number 1 striker, wasn't he? Whenever he was fit, he was called upon. So until it's made clear that we're getting someone else in that position, would he back himself to battle Solanke if that was to be the case next season, to be our number 1 striker if we don't sign another striker? But I think that is the plan. So maybe once we get someone in, surely he'll know that his time is up, unless we sell Solanke instead. But I just can't see that happening. I think it's more likely to be Rishi. Surely,
it just depends what kind of interest you get in the player, and if he's hell bent on staying in England and there's no offers coming from England, then he's stuck here. You know, if he's refusing to leave the Premier League. So it all depends on what kind of interest we can drum up. Obviously, the lower price we go, the probably more likely it is that we can drum up some interest. Is he interested in joining one of like the promoted sides or a team fighting down the bottom of the league, albeit he's been fighting down the bottom of the league the last 2 seasons with Tottenham? He obviously doesn't see Tottenham as that club that should be fighting down the bottom of the league, and he's seeing us sign all these players. Obviously, a very exciting time to be at Tottenham right now. So, yeah.
He probably thinks he could benefit from that.
Yeah,
if he was to stay, yeah.
You know, he's a confident guy. He'll back himself. He was, you know, one of our top, if not our top goal scorer last season. So, yeah, I can see it from his point of view. But it's like we're here every summer. Every summer we want to sell, or we're open to selling, and every summer he wants to stay. He's got one more year left in his contract, but there could be another year that's triggered as well. So we could actually be seeing him here for another 2 years if we can't get a deal done.
Look, regardless, I think if we're being, acting like a big club and we're being ruthless, then whether Rishi demands to stay or not, that we should sign someone. It doesn't matter whether Rishi,
100%.
what he thinks. And if Rishi if it's his opinion, I'm going to stay, I'm going to fight for my place, and he risks rotting in the reserves or whatever, or not being picked in matchday squads, that's his prerogative. But I don't think Tottenham should be interested in that. Obviously, we should try our best to sell him, but that shouldn't impact us on my business in that position, in my opinion.
I got a feeling like this would be his stance now, that he doesn't want to leave Tottenham. But if we were to bring in another striker, he'll rethink that.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So once we get someone in, maybe he'll start to think, maybe my time is actually up here. So let's see. Maybe he'll look right now that he's with Solanke in pre-season. Obviously, last season, his goal scoring record when he was picked was not terrible. So could he convince De Zerbi he's the better fit than Solanke? I mean, it's not beyond all realms of possibility that's possible. And maybe we choose to sell Solanke. But I just think right now, Solanke hasn't really gotten his opportunity under De Zerbi. I think he's probably got more to offer in the Premier League right now than Richarlison as a striker. So I think he's going to prefer Solanke, but you can't rule anything out. So maybe we'll see over pre-season what De Zerbi really chooses, and maybe they're going to be battling it out with each other to see who's the striker who's going to stay, because I do think we're going to sign one.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next up, let's talk about Savinho. Looks as though, Spurs Journo is saying that Tottenham are now on the verge of signing a deal for Savinho. Green light expected from Man City soon after several weeks of club-to-club talks. Heard from Spurs saying Savinho deal close to being finalised to move to Tottenham Hotspur. Figures expected to be around £60 million, with an add-ons rising to 65 million. Nearly there. Bring the fella home, he's saying. And Simon Jones is saying that Tottenham will sign Savinho, but Spurs do want 2 more forward options as well. Man City are now currently looking for wingers as they close on the sale of Savinho to Tottenham for around £65 million. So all we're waiting for now is the here we go, the exclusive from David Ornstein. And once those come, I think this is going to happen. It sounds like it's all moving in the right direction now. It looks like Savinho will be the next one through the door.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, I've seen that way for a while, though. As I've always said with Savinho, to be fair, these are ITK. I mean, Simon Jones is Daily Mail, but I don't know how reliable he is. And these are ITKs, which are okay, but they're not like, the gold standard of journalists. Let's be honest.
They have been this summer.
Some of them have been. I mean, I don't know about. Heard from Spurs seems to be okay, but he's a new one, so he's hard to know. Spurs Journo, obviously I love him. So look, if he says something, you can't just dismiss it, but doesn't mean that he's got things wrong as well. We haven't heard too many journalists, apart from Simon Jones, jumping on the fact that it's as imminent as they're saying. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe you have to temper our expectations a little bit, but I do think this is going to happen eventually. I'm pretty confident
when Romano
of that.
starts retweeting, something's going to pop off soon. And that's what he was doing yesterday. And also
True.
with the whole Instagram post from Javi Simmons yesterday,
Well, Savinho posted something cryptic as well on his
he posted a picture
Instagram
of his gym at home, saying I don't know what he said along with it.
He said, so I don't know if you can get it up. Let me see if I can like it. Savinho, one sec. Here it is. So I liked it on X. You can maybe bring it up. He's posted this on Instagram. It said, "See you soon. I'm going to be happy, and soon I'm back." So, and he's got a picture of a suitcase there, and that's his home gym. So
a white suitcase as well.
White suit. He loves the white. He loves the white heart and everything like that. So he's clearly been gagging for that move to Tottenham for a while.
I mean, this deal's done, man.
It's very interesting to post that. I mean, what else could it mean but that he's moving to London or whatever? That's surely what he's hinting at. I don't know what else. Maybe he's going on holiday. I mean, but surely not. It's pre-season time.
The week pre-season starts.
Yeah, I mean, what else? So that kind of implies there's something going on there behind the scenes, and the deal is getting close. I do think it's going to happen. 65 million, or 60 million. I do think that's a bit steep, but we've been overpaying all summer, and I also think the winger market isn't chucked full of loads of options. So I think when you've got someone of Savinho's quality, I think getting him over the line would be a good piece of business. I think it's probably going to be 55 to 60 plus some add-ons. That's what I would assume. I don't think it's going to be 65 straight, but we'll have to look. We'll see what it comes out of.
60 plus 5 in add-ons.
60 plus, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So it's a bit steep. I think closer to 45 to 50, it's probably a bit fairer. But in this market, everyone's overpaying at the moment, and there's lots of big money flying around. So I'm excited to have him through the door. As I've said, I think he's going to suit De Zerbi ball down to a T. I think having him as options on the left or right is going to be great. I think whoever's playing up front is really going to benefit from having a winger like Savinho running at their defenders and creating space and creating chances as well. So I think it's about time we seal this and get it done. And hopefully Xavi announces it and he says it was only Tottenham.
Look, these talks have been going on for way too long. Let's just get the man through the door. Apparently greenlit from Roberto De Zerbi. The club have obviously been chasing him since last summer. My biggest concern with signing Savinho was that he was going to be the only winger that we sign this summer. But if we do sign another one, maybe a more established one that that's proven to get consistent goals and assists, then that's completely fine for me. If it is Savinho and maybe another younger one that's not too proven, then I think that's a bit of an issue. But we'll have to wait and see who else we get in. The Simon Jones and other journalists saying it's going to be Savinho plus 2 more in the forward line. So we just have to wait and see which are the 2 others. So I'm happy to bring in Savinho. I think he's got a lot of talent. Obviously, he hasn't shown it on a consistent basis for Man City over the last 2 years, but he had a phenomenal season in La Liga, which why Man City bought him. And obviously, he was highly rated at Man City because they didn't let him go last summer. And Pep Guardiola or directors at Man City blocked that deal because they believe in him. So he's definitely a player with a lot of talent. He's a player with a big future ahead of him. So I'm happy to get him through the door, but it all depends on who else we get alongside him, in my opinion.
I also think even if he shows a Man City at Tottenham, I think this is a player that is already proven, in my opinion, that he can perform in the Premier League. Now, he's not proven that he can be a consistent goal scorer, but I think this guy creates chances. He does, and he takes people on, and he's shown that even for Man City over the last couple of years. So even if we just get that version in the short term, I think that'll be a real benefit to us, in my opinion. And I think it's going to take our attack on a long way, because I think our attackers over the last couple of years have not done anywhere near enough when it comes to committing defenders and creating chances, and that's what Savinho has already proven he can do. So even if we're just getting him to do that, I think it's a good signing.
Look, you look at it on the face of things, right? He can play right or left, both to a good standard. He's he's 2-footed, right?
He's more left-footed, but he's more left-footed, I would say.
But he can use his right.
Yeah, he can go out on either side. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So he comes in as our best left winger right now at the football club, and he comes in as our second best winger on the right side. If we can bring in a left winger that is potentially even better than him, then all of a sudden you're looking at really good options on the wing. Mm-hmm. So that's where we got to kind of hope to land on before the end of the transfer window. So good start. Let's hope it's an even better finish, in my opinion, for the forward line. So that's Savinho, potentially nearly done moving to Tottenham Hotspur. Let's talk about Morgan Rogers. Obviously, all the reliable journalists right now were reporting that Arsenal are now accelerating a move for Morgan Rogers. Tom Allnut says that Morgan Rogers is a name that keeps popping up for Tottenham. He would be a dream signing, but there are other clubs interested, and it will be a very difficult deal to do, but maybe one to watch. SZY has said that Villa are looking for 110 million plus add-ons for Morgan Rogers, and he says from what he hears, it doesn't sound like Arsenal are prepared to pay that. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Arsenal have been kind of going through this transfer window, not doing much. Obviously, they signed Solis for 40 million euros, I think it was. They've lowballed Newcastle for Bruno Guimaraes. That's kind of gone a bit quiet now. Are they going to try and lowball Aston Villa for Morgan Rogers now and kind of walk away without meeting what Aston Villa want? And are Spurs going to be able to be ready to pounce if that does happen?
A lot of questions there. I would be shocked if they're willing to go to 110 million. Obviously, they did go to 100 million for Rice, so they have proven they can spend that kind of money. That was, 3 years ago, 4 years ago now. So that it's not alien to them to go really big on a player they really want. But is Rodgers a player that they really desperately need? Obviously, Rice was someone who fixed their midfield. Rodgers seems like a player who supplements their current attacking options, but they do currently have Eze, they got Odegaard, they've just signed Solis as well. So, should they really be spending 100 million on Rodgers, or should they be going in a different position, which should be a priority? Obviously, only Arsenal know exactly what their intentions are with Rodgers. Maybe they want him, and he's obviously he comes in and probably is their best number 10. He's in better form than Eze and Odegaard right now, so would one of Eze and Odegaard have to leave, or do they want to play with all of them? I don't really know what their plan is for next season. But when you look at their squad, you wouldn't necessarily say spending 100 million, 110 million on Rodgers seems completely necessary right now. Maybe if it was 80 million, something along those, maybe that makes more sense. But 110 million seems very, very steep for a player that's not necessarily a priority when it looks like in their squad when you look at it. But maybe he is. I don't know what they're thinking, is my point. But if they're not willing to go that high, for me, I think, obviously, I've said before with our number 10 position, it's a bit of a weird one for Tottenham because we have lots of good players there, but they all have individual issues, which in theory, objectively, you might not be able to trust any of them right now to actually fill that void. So that might be a bit of a priority for us right now. I'm not sure what De Zerbi thinking, or is De Zerbi thinking, I can rely on Maddison, Decky's going to be back, obviously Xavi's come back from an ACL, and once all of them are fit, I can use all of those players? Or does he look at that situation and think, Maddison has just come back from an ACL, I can't really trust him. Decky has had this long-term issue, is he ever going to get back to his best? And Xavi currently has an ACL, so I can't obviously trust him. So do we need to go big on a number 10 and really fix up that position in next season? I think if an opportunity like Rodgers comes around where where we could get him through the door if we bid the right money, it would be hard to say that wouldn't be necessary. And look, if Maddison comes good, or if Decky comes back, or if Xavi comes back, great. But in the meantime, can we rely on any of that? And maybe it's worth investing heavily in Rodgers and having that number 10 that we know is going to be there for the foreseeable future. And if any of the players that we mentioned are available and are back to their best, then fine, they can supplement Rodgers. But maybe Rodgers can come in and be our main guy there. So I think he's probably a bit more necessary for us than he is for Arsenal. So we've already shown we're willing to spend big, and we're willing to maybe overpay for players that we truly want. We're never going to get Rodgers for a cheap deal, I don't think. So it's either we pay the money or we don't. So I think worst comes to worst, you put the money down, and I think, in my opinion, all it does is drive the price up for Arsenal anyway. So I don't see a downside of maybe putting the offer in. You know what I mean? Yeah. Put the 110 million down and put the ball in Arsenal's court and tell them, are you going to really pay that money? And force them to do it, essentially. I don't mind doing that. And if they do it, fair enough. They pay the 100 whatever. If they pay a bit more and they get the deal done, hey-ho. Or maybe even try and outbid them again and just keep driving the price up. Try and empty their coffers. I don't mind that. And look, if he ends up at Arsenal, he wants the Arsenal, if it seems anyway. So I'm kind of resigned to not getting him. But if it just drives the price up for Arsenal, I'm all for it.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because they really want Bruno, they really want Rodgers, if you believe, the reliable journalists. But it doesn't seem like everyone's saying that they're not willing to go and pay the big money for either of these players. And I'm thinking to myself, why aren't they willing to go so big when they've just made the Champions League final, they've just won the league, they're record profits and all this kind of stuff? And then I think back to what Josh Kroenke said at the back end of last season, and maybe this has something to do with it, because he said that they want to regenerate the Emirates Stadium to make it like the SoFi Stadium in LA. And that stadium's probably the best stadium in the world right now, and even better than what we have at Tottenham. And that is going to cost a hell of a lot of money to do that. So are they being hamstrung financially a little bit because of the plans to regenerate this stadium?
I don't know exactly, but they have spent a lot of money, right, over the last few years. So they have just won the league and they got to the Champions League final. So obviously they're going to look to improve where they can, but it's a very tough squad to improve on, isn't it? I'm not saying they're not going to. Of course, they're going to go and sign players, but maybe they're feeling, do we have to actually
two players
spend?
definitely improve the squad.
Of course
I think
they do.
They're both up massive upgrades on what they've got.
Yeah, they do. But I don't know what they're thinking. Do they? Maybe they will. I mean, it's still quite early on in the transfer window, so it's tough to say why. Maybe they're not going early. Maybe they're more in a position. Unlike Tottenham, who are kind of desperate to improve the squad, they're not desperate. They've got a very good squad who've, as I've said, who've just achieved great things. So they're not in a position where they have to overspend, this money as a matter of desperation. Unlike Tottenham, who are playing catch-up right now, we're looking to catch up on all the teams above us, and we don't have the sporting project, unlike Arsenal, to sell it to players. So we're going to have to overspend to get these players through the door and sell it to them that we're improving massively and try and catching up. Arsenal in a different position to us. They're maybe in a position where they try and find the price that's right for them, and they have an ability to walk away if the price isn't right and not overspend. So because they feel comfortable with their own squad right now. Obviously, when you're at the top, you have to try and kick on and you have to try and push on from that. We obviously saw though with Liverpool. It's not very easy to do that if you're just going to spend 500 million after winning the league. Maybe that's not the right thing to do all the time. You have to make small incremental changes. So maybe Arsenal don't want to spend 300 million on all these new players just after winning the league. Maybe they want to upgrade, but only on their terms. Maybe that's what they're feeling.
I just think it's a poor. I think there could be something in it with the new stadium stuff, and it could be work to our delight, to be honest, because if Arsenal don't go to these big prices, then all of a sudden we become a big player for some of these players, particularly Morgan Rogers. So we'll see what happens in the future regarding that. Maybe Arsenal do just go stump up the money and then it's just a non-story and we can crack on with hating him for next season. But right now, Spurs could swoop in there. Let's talk about Krupi. There's some more updates regarding him. And Tom Allnut says, no, not Tom, SZY says that Krupi is still being targeted by Tottenham this summer. Spurs Journo says, after Savinho is finalised, I reckon we'll try again for Krupi. The issue is, like I said, currently there isn't a real indication that a bid of close to 100 million euros would be actually enough to complete the deal unless there are incredibly favourable terms. So yeah, I mean, there is a suggestion that now, after we get Savinho, Krupi will be the next one on the list that we'll try and attack.
Yeah, and there's obviously been a lot of talk about Tottenham and Krupi. We've had our say on it a number of times. I mean, 100 million euros, that's about 85 million pounds. We've obviously spoken about that kind of figure. It looks like they're going to want as close to that 100 million pound mark as possible. So, which is a crazy fee for someone like Krupi. And he could be a 100 million pound player. He's not proven to be that good, but he has proven to be a very good player at his age after only 1 year in the Premier League. And teams now, teams are obviously noticing those kind of things a lot quicker than they used to. Teams who have those players are noticing what they've got a lot quicker than they used to. So that is showing why a player like Krupi, who's 20 years and 13 goals in the Premier League, is already a player they're demanding 100 million for. Like even a few years ago, Evan Ferguson, Brighton were demanding 100 million for him when he had half a decent season in the Premier League. That's just kind of the going rate. When you've got a young striker with that kind of talent, and the selling club not wanting to sell, you're going to have to make it worth their while to get it over the line. So if we want him, we're going to have to probably spend 100 million, and we're going to have to be comfortable with that. And we have to make that internal kind of decision. Is it worth it? Are we certain that this talent is as good as we think, or is it? Could he be our striker or our attacking player for the next 5-10 years potentially with his age and that kind of stuff? Do we really believe that, or is it a massive gamble we're taking based on the fact he had a good season with Bournemouth and we're not actually 100% sure whether he is that good? I mean, when I look at him, I think he's a brilliant player, and I would love him in a Tottenham shirt, and I think he's going to be a very good player for many years to come. But it depends kind of what level. Do we think he's going to be world-class? Do we think he should be very good? Like, do we think he's potentially a 30, 40 goal a season player down the line? Or is he always going to be around that 15 to 20 goal mark? I mean, those things go into that calculation. But it's a tough one. I mean, 100 million is a hell of a gamble. on someone who's only had one good season. So I understand the trepidation, but on top of that, looking at him, I can't help think this guy is going to be a very good player for many years to come.
Yeah, it's mouth-watering, the prospect of signing Krupi, but like I said yesterday, I just think the money being banded about for him is nuts. But don't get me wrong, if we do go put that money down, I'll be incredibly excited to get him through the door, and I would like us to go and do it. But like, if you ask me, would I rather sign Krupi for 100 million or like Morgan Rogers for 100 million? Morgan Rogers is a safer bet right now, for sure.
Of course, yeah.
There's been... So basically, everyone's been going, what's going on with Rafael Leao? Obviously, it's gone very quiet on the Leao situation. Heard from Spurs, basically, was talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and he says, to follow up on it, apparently Leao, in negotiations, wanted 20 million per year, which is close to 400k a week. So that is why I think things have gone a bit quiet on the Leao front.
Well, is that, I mean, it could be deceptive. Is that pre or post-tax? Because if it's pre-tax, that is like 200 grand a week, which is not.
Yeah, but all these figures that are banded about is always pre-tax.
Yeah, but
figures.
when it's coming from an ITK, you don't really know, do you, what information they've heard and how they're relaying it. It's
yeah,
hard
but
to know.
what I'm saying is when you hear of a player's wages, it's always pre-tax.
Usually. You mean post-tax?
No, pre.
Pre. So that's 200 grand a week then?
No. I mean, it's pre-tax.
After tax.
Before tax.
Before tax is 20 million.
Yeah.
Then that means after tax.
No, I mean like the tax gets taken off that.
Yeah. So that's post-tax then.
Post-tax.
Yeah. Then that would be 400. I mean, that means he wants 800 grand a week. In theory.
No, sorry. He wants 20 million a year. That's it. Tax included.
Yeah. So that's post-tax. Yeah. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. Obviously, no one's paying him that. I mean, right now, we looked at his wage, didn't we? And he was like on what
160 or something.
Yeah. So he wants basically double his wage, essentially. It was that he's never going to get that at Tottenham. I say that. I mean, we are willing to give that wage, but I just don't think to him. I think obviously we've upped our wage structure for Tonali. He's now going to be on 250 or close to 300 because we feel like he's worth it. But Leao was way too much of a risk to be spending that kind of money on him. That would be insane. So if that is true, then we were right to walk away. This is what I was saying about Leao. Is he coming? If he was coming because he wants to test himself against the best and he believes, he stagnated at AC Milan and he wants to test himself in a bigger league and that will push him to be a better player and De Zerbi can push him to get more out of him, then he would probably accept a modest wage rise rather than demanding double. Right, if he's coming here because he thinks he can get a bigger payday and he's not actually interested in the sporting side, he's more interested in, the glamour of the Premier League and just getting the big money and all that kind of stuff, and he's going to continue to, be inconsistent and flattered to deceive, then he ain't worth bringing. So, and for me, if that's how much his agent is demanding, and it's not just an opening gambit, an opening negotiation, that's like, if he's being stubborn on that price, then let him go because he ain't worth the trouble.
No chance. No chance should he be like double what our highest earners on. It's just nuts. That is nuts to think about with the issues that he's had over the last couple of years. Like, yeah, he can go to Saudi if he wants that kind of money. You know what I mean? Like, nobody in the Premier League is going to pay him that kind of money. And he came out specifically saying he wants to move to the Premier League, which suggested he wanted to move for a sporting project, not for. Obviously, you get better money in the Premier League, but still. You're not going to get that kind of money. Nobody's going to pay you that. If you want that kind of money, you go to Turkey or you go to the Saudi League. That's where you're going to get it, especially as there's no tax involved.
But I think he probably sees himself as a player with the quality to be on that kind of money. And the thing is, he does have that quality. But the reality is, he hasn't shown it enough. That's on him. I think if he plays at his very best, right, for consistently, he could maybe be maybe not 400 grand a week, but close to, or a lot more than what he's on right now. 100%, this guy could be on the money that some of the best wingers are on in the Premier League. I've got no doubt about that if he plays to his potential. But he's got to prove that he can do that consistently over a long stretch of games and be at his very best. And over the last couple of years, he just hasn't done that. So no one's going to be paying him that kind of money until he proves it. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
But for him, he probably looks at it and thinks, I'm this kind of level. I've got, I'm this kind of player. His agent's probably in his ear telling him, you should be on this money. You're trying to get the best, deal for him possible. And he's probably looking at some of the best wingers, what they're on in the Premier League. He's like, yeah, let's go for something like that. But his stock isn't that high right now. He's got to realise that.
Yeah. Like I said, he'll get that money probably in Saudi or Turkey. And if he's, being stubborn on that price, that's where he's going to end up. Because AC Milan don't want him anymore. No Premier League clubs are going to pick him up, and that's it. Like, there's no other big clubs there, so he's not going to go to Real Madrid or Barcelona. So he's going to end up in Saudi or Turkey.
Well, it just shows where his head's at. That's what he's demanding, doesn't it?
100%. So we'll see what happens with him. And just a quick one. It's just worth noting that Morgan Gibbs-White has just changed his agent. So he's clearly angling for a move at some point in the near future, maybe this window or next window. Roof Agency, who currently deal with Mohamed Kudus. So maybe they're getting in his ear saying, look, join us. We can get you that move, that dream move to Tottenham that you always wanted.
Let's hope it's Tottenham, but I think he probably does want to move. That's for sure, because he stayed at Forest and they didn't have the best of seasons. And even though he was a shining light, Forest weren't great. And then last summer, he also wanted to move as well. So usually when players change agents like that, especially during the summer, that is usually an indication of where their head's at and what they want. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some movement there with Morgan Gibbs-White and his future, and he starts angling for a move. Let's hope Tottenham are ones to swoop in. I mean, if we can get him for half the price of Rodgers, it probably makes a bit more sense. As much as I think Rodgers is maybe a bit of a better player, I think Gibbs-White obviously is a great player himself. So if you can get him for half the price, it probably makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, exactly. So watch this space. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below all your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today. A couple of super chats here. Anmol says 65 million is too much for Savio. Another Odebear type player. I mean, I think it's being a bit disingenuous. I think Odebear had one season for Burnley, and that's it. Like, at least Savinho, had a top season in La Liga for Girona. And some not so great seasons for Man City. First year he got 10 assists in his first season, and then last year was a bit ravaged by injury. But to say he's on a similar level to Odebear, I think that's a bit disingenuous.
Yeah, I think he's shown more. Odebear, I think, is a talented player, but I think Savinho's already shown at the top level what he's capable of. Odebear is yet to prove it, as much as he's shown glimpses and he's had some good games. Don't get me wrong, I like Odebear, and he was just getting into his stride just before that injury, which is the most frustrating thing. He was just starting to show a bit of consistency in some of his performances. But when it comes to what we've seen at the top level, whether it be the Premier League or La Liga, Savinho's shown a lot more.
Ryan Isaacs with the members chat, 50 months a member. He says, I need you to retweet my tweet sent to you on text. I'll have to have a look at that after the stream, Ryan.
He said he's found someone's membership card.
What's the name?
And he wants to find them. Stephen Pugh.
Stephen Pugh, that sits in the North Upper, if you're watching.
If you're a fan of WeAreTottenhamTV, he said he found it at a pub in Whetstone. Your season ticket card has been found. I didn't even know they had season ticket cards anymore. It's a senior one, so clearly, I think maybe for seniors who maybe don't have smartphones or something. Maybe they still have them. Yeah, I thought these were old. Is it for the upcoming season or for last season? Sure. Yeah, maybe they have started. I think that's an old season ticket pass. I thought they didn't do them anymore. It looks old, doesn't it? It doesn't have a year on it though. But anyway, Stephen Pugh, if you are watching, Ryan Isaacs has your season ticket card. Someone in the comments says giving it back to him is abuse. Not for next season. I retweeted it, Ryan. There you go. Let's see if we can find Stephen Pugh. If anyone knows a Stephen Pugh as well, try and get in touch with him. If he still has a season ticket card, I highly doubt he's on social media. Yeah, true. But maybe people know him. Are you Stephen Pugh's grandson or granddaughter? Yeah. Oliver Furness says Savinho is just another Martinelli. Wow. Some people not happy with this Savinho signing. Savinho, I think they're very different. Martinelli's more of a forward. He's not really a winger. I think he was definitely better in his earlier years at Arsenal, wasn't he, Martinelli? I think his last few years have been really poor. But I think they're very different players. Martinelli has never been a player who's very good at like taking people on and creating chances. He's been very good at like, similar to Son, like running in behind, finishing chances, that kind of stuff. He's more of a forward. Savinho's a very different player. I mean, could he turn out to be as effective as Martinelli? Yeah, it's possible. In terms of in a bad way. It's possible, but they're very different players.
Ineffective as Martinelli.
Yeah, ineffective, yeah.
And Powery says, it's not even our money. Why are people so up in arms about this deal? That is just how much players with potential Savinho has are worth. It's true, like 60 million is like the old 30 million, to be honest.
I know, exactly.
Like, it sounds a lot, but it's actually not that much in this day and age, 60 million. Like when you're looking at Vuskovic going for 50, you're looking at Van Hecker with 1 year of his contract going for 52. You're looking at all these players.
Andre Santos, he went for
50 million. Like,
what's Santos done? You know what I mean? And he's 50 million.
Yeah, like 50, 60 million is just
Manzambi, he's 60 million. He had a good World Cup and he's 60 million. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, so like 50, 60 million is just like an average player now.
Yeah, it's nothing special. I think over the next coming years, you might see a massive influx of over £100 million players as well.
100%.
Yeah, so how how it goes, it just rises and rises and all the player prices grow up. And I understand you know, looking at all these fees, you're like, this is crazy, this is nuts, how are you spending this amount of money? But when you actually look at the context of how much players are going for, it's not as crazy as it sounds.
Someone in the comments here says Savinho can't beat people one-on-one. I thought that was his strength.
He can beat people one-on-one.
I thought that's like
he absolutely can.
What his thing is.
That is his thing. He reminds me of Aaron Lennon.
Aaron Lennon. I mean, I wouldn't mind another Aaron Lennon in the squad. We miss an Aaron Lennon profile. All right, well, those are the super chats. We're going to go and talk about the 5 players who really need a big pre-season to catch the hearts of Roberto De Zerbi. So I want you guys to let us know in the comments which 5 players do you really think need that big pre-season. I think the first 2 that really come to mind is really Will Lancashire and Mikey Moore, isn't it?
Definitely. I think, first of all, Will Lancashire, there's a lot of talk about him leaving. There's a lot of talk about maybe Tottenham accepting bids, and there's a lot of interest in him. You got to remember his trajectory. There was a lot of talk about him in the academy. Obviously, he was absolutely banging in goals for fun in the under-21s. I think he was getting 30 goals a season. He was lots of talk about him. He then goes on loan to West Brom, where he was disappointing, albeit he started off okay. And then he goes back on loan to the Championship to a lower team in Oxford, who are battling relegation. And he ends up getting 11 Championship goals at the age of 20, 21 years of age last season. So this is a striker already there's a lot of excitement about. He then goes to a Championship club and gets 11 goals. He's now 21. You look at his physical profile, he's strong, he's growing every year. He seems to be, physically getting more acclimatised. This is also a player who made his Europa League debut away at Galatasaray and scored a goal. This is also a player that every pre-season seems to get opportunities and seems to score goals whenever we play him in pre-season as well. It is very reminiscent of like Kane's trajectory when he was younger. Obviously a bit different because Kane had a lot more loans, but when you're looking at kind of the kind of player who he is, you know, always kind of impressing without being outstanding. He kind of just impresses every time he gets these opportunities.
Am I not right in saying that Lancashire's loan last season was better than any of Kane's loans?
I think so. I think Kane, there was one, I think Millwall, I think he got Young Player of the Year at Millwall, so he did quite well at that one. But yeah, I think 11 goals is probably more than whatever Kane got in any of his loan spells, to be fair.
I'm just looking at... So Kane got 7 goals for Millwall that year and only played 17 games. So, I mean, that is a good goal return. But, yeah, that was his best loan spell. Norwich, he only played 3 games, 0 goals. Leicester played 15 games, got 2 goals. And his first one was Leyton Orient, where he got 4 goals in 15 games. Yeah. So it doesn't look like he ever played like a full season out on loan, ever.
Yeah, so Lancashire getting 11 goals, that just goes to show how tough it is in the Championship when someone like Kane wasn't even able to do it consistently. So the reason I think it's a massive pre-season for him is because, as we said, there's a lot of talk about him leaving. There's already talks about £10 million potentially on the table to sell him. And if he can show to De Zerbi that he's a striker, even capable of getting between 5 and 10 Premier League goals, off the bench or starting some games, then all of a sudden, not only can he save us a lot of money, but he could also make us a hell of a lot more money just off the back of that. We're already talking about what the market is in general, especially for attackers. If he's 10 million now, if he gets 5 Premier League goals, he's probably 20 million or 30 million. If he can get 10 Premier League goals, he's probably 40 million. Look at Delap. He got 10 Premier League goals, didn't he? And he went for 40 million or whatever it was. So I think it is massive for Lancashire to prove himself. It is a massive pre-season. If he doesn't show that he's Premier League ready or ready to make a part in our team, it'll be a decision for us to make. Do we sell him? Do we go and put him out on loan again? I would like to put him out on loan again just to keep building that value, because I think his value hasn't peaked in the Tottenham shirt just yet, and I think another loan spell is probably in the offing. But it's a massive pre-season because I do think there's a real opportunity for him to be part of the first team next season if he can prove himself.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm a big believer in Will Lancashire and his abilities. And I would love to see him part of the first team next season, because if he's part of the first team, it means he would have proved himself to Roberto De Zerbi over pre-season. He would have decided that it's better to keep him around than to loan him out. And, we're talking about bringing in someone like Junior Krupi to the club. And that will mean, like, Krupi, obviously we don't think he's that ready to play the number 9 week in, week out. So that will give him an opportunity to maybe fill in the 10, maybe go out wide a little bit. And then you've got more quality to play with throughout the starting 11 and using throughout the whole squad. And I would love to see Will Lancashire. I really would, because I think he's got the qualities, he's got the physical traits. I think he's got everything going for him. He just needs to prove himself at the top level. That's where it's at right now.
I guess the only question marks, obviously, he's only done the Championship, but also when you watch him, some people say, is he a bit stiff? Can he really battle it, mix it amongst these top defenders? Like, does he have kind of the physicality to turn on the ball and the flexibility to do all that kind of stuff, or is he a bit too robotic? Those obviously question marks.
What they said about Kane.
Have 100% it is, and he fixed that. Yeah, and he fixed that physically. And we saw by the time he was in the Tottenham first team, he was a different player.
But even like when he was in the Tottenham first team, he still moved very awkwardly. Definitely on the turn, and when he was running, like when Kane was in the first team, when he first got the first team, the first couple of years, it felt like instead of like taking it past players, he would like stumble past players. That's what it felt like with Harry Kane, and that's why everyone was like, "Oh, he's just a one-season wonder. This guy's never going to make it at the top." And then obviously he just got better and better and better and refined and fixed and everything. So even if they say that about Lancashire, it's stuff that he can work on and it's stuff that he can get better at.
Yeah, but those obviously the question marks. He's not guaranteed to be, a player that we hope he can be. We're just, you've got to look at what he needs to work on. And obviously he's got very good finishing abilities, very good physically. Is he Prem level? That's obviously what he's got to work on. But he's got an opportunity to really impress De Zerbi. And same with Mikey Moore. I think Mikey Moore had a very good loan spell at Rangers, and he obviously won one that he probably learnt a lot from, because he started out the team and struggling and then grew, became one of the main players, and ended up winning Scottish Young Player of the Year, was it? Or just Rangers Young?
Yeah, Scottish Young Player.
So he ended up having a phenomenal loan spell for him. So he is obviously one, even in the Tottenham shirt, he has shown this guy has got ability, he's got quality, he's shown it in Europa League. And he's another player where he's got a real opportunity to actually be part of the first team this season if he proves himself, because there's openings there. There's openings in the 10, there's openings on left wing. Obviously, we're looking to recruit right now, but if he can show himself that he has the ability to contribute and he can actually stick around, that could save us a lot of money. And obviously, this is a player of unbelievable talent, but it's whether he's just Premier League ready, and this is a big pre-season for him.
I've got a feeling that if Mikey can kind of sway De Zerbi round and really prove himself to De Zerbi over this pre-season, then I think that's curtains for Tell. I think it really could be curtains for Tell, because obviously they're in the exact same position, albeit Mikey Moore can play a bit more on the inside, and people were saying at Rangers actually his best work actually comes in the central areas of the pitch. So it's actually up for debate where Mikey Moore's best position is at this moment in time. Is his best position out on the left wing, or is it more as a 10? We don't know just yet. They're saying his best position was like kind of that inside left. So where would that be in a De Zerbi system? Would it be the left winger, or will he move more into the 10 position?
Yeah.
that's a big thing to say, like where he's going to really flourish.
That's the thing. In the when it comes to the Premier League, obviously out wide you get more space, but does he have it in him in one-on-one situations to get the better of his fullback just yet? Like, does he have the pace? Does he? I think he's got the dribbling ability, but does he have the strength and the pace like, over big spaces to beat them? And then I think in the number 10, I think he's more comfortable there, but in those congested spaces when you've got big players around you, have you got the ability to hold them off and pick those passes and link play? I think maybe at low levels he does, but does he have it in the Premier League? Those are the big questions. We don't know that at the moment.
Like in the 10 though, they look like there could be a big opportunity for him to stake a claim for a lot of minutes next season whilst these players are coming
100%.
back. 100%. Because you've got like obviously we've been through it, but Javi Simmons on the ACL, Maddison just coming back from the ACL, Conor Gallagher, is he a real 10? Is that who we want to see in the 10? So if Mikey sees himself, or if Roberto De Zerbi sees himself more in the 10 area, then there's more chance of him staying around because we're looking to bring another winger. There is Tell there. But if he sees him more as a left winger and we're still looking to bring one in and there's Tell there, if he favours him over Tell, then yeah, fine, there's an opportunity there. But I see more of an opportunity for him in the middle areas of the pitch.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think when it comes to him and Tell's more of a forward. I think Mikey Moore's a bit of a different position. So I don't know. Look, I guess maybe they're linked a bit. I think what Mikey is probably battling for, I would say, is maybe he is battling to stay around for the next 6 months. Because I think in 6 months' time, if Xavi's back, depending if we sign a 10 or not, and all these different, if Decky's back and he's back to his best in 6 months, then naturally, and Maddison as well, he might not be at his best for the next 6 months. So I think naturally after 6 months, even if Moore is coming and doing well, it's still going to be hard for him to find opportunities. But I think his pre-season, it could determine whether he sticks around for the beginning of the season and kind of helps out some of those minutes in the 10, or whether he's just not good enough and goes out on loan. So another player who I think I'm going to be keeping a really keen eye on pre-season to see how he does. I'm really excited to see what he does.
I think another player that really needs to impress Roberto De Zerbi in this pre-season has got to be Archie Gray. Archie Gray, obviously we've signed 2 big midfielders in this transfer window. Archie Gray has always been filled in here, there and everywhere. Utility player. Done pretty well for us. Got our player of the year last season in a dreadful season. But as Roberto De Zerbi said, I think it was De Zerbi that said it, that, he needs to find his position and he needs to, flourish in that position. So it's going to be interesting to see where he thinks he is. Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he, a backup right back? Where does Archie Gray fit in next season? So it's going to be interesting to see how De Zerbi utilises him in pre-season and if he can flourish in that position.
Yeah, I think we'll learn a lot from that, because I think De Zerbi has said it himself. He needs to find his best position. And is he good enough to be one of our, options consistently in midfield? Or if Spence goes, does he convert him to a full-time fullback, knowing that he plays inverted fullback? So that could suit Archie Gray potentially anyway, even if he does play that position. So I think we are going to learn definitely where De Zerbi is playing him and how he's using him. But I definitely think Archie Gray was someone who wasn't trusted under De Zerbi, unfortunately, for the last 7 games, even though he was one of our more impressive players before that. So I think he's got something to prove for De Zerbi, that he's going to be a big player. It's a big season for him. He wants to prove himself in his natural position, but he's got to prove to De Zerbi he's good enough, especially with these big midfielders coming in, that he can take minutes off them.
Another one's got to be Matty Tell.
Yeah.
If he is still here for pre-season, which I assume he will be, obviously we're looking to make big signings in that forward line in all positions. Savinho obviously looking like it's imminent, or that he's going to be the next one through the door. So Matty Tell has got to do a lot to prove to Roberto De Zerbi that, maybe we don't need to sign another winger. I'm here and I'm going to be a big player for you next season. He came through at certain points at the back end of last season, but he needs to step it up if he's going to be a real trusted player for Roberto De Zerbi.
Yeah, I think for me, when it comes to Tell, I've got a lot of sympathy for him, but at the end of the day, you've got to just deal with bold-faced facts. And the sympathy I've got for him is it's been a shit show ever since he's come here in terms of the club. Like, we've been in 2 relegation. He didn't come here to be in relegation battles. We've been in 2 relegation battles. He came with promises, that he's going to leave Bayern and come to Tottenham and get all these opportunities and be one of our starters. And you're coming here because we trust you. We see your talent, and you're going to be one of our players. And he's playing. He came in for the first 6 months. He was pretty much playing only up front in a system which wasn't suited to him as a striker, especially with him as a teenager. And then he's played on the left wing in a very defensive system, and even then he's got opportunities and done quite well. But even when he proved himself and proved that he was doing well, he was then dropped from the team, and he was also dropped from the European squad and wasn't as trusted as he was promised when he first joined. And the team's been completely dysfunctional. But then last season he had those 7 games under De Zerbi, which I thought he did quite well in, but it wasn't quite as outstanding to prove to anyone that he's definitely going to be, trusted as much as he would like to be trusted going to next season. So I have sympathy for him, but the bold-faced fact is he hasn't shown enough to show that he's good enough to be our starting winger. I think that's just the facts. But he has shown glimpses to show that he's got talent. There's been good performances. There's been that goal against Leeds was phenomenal. He had some good moments last season in front of goal to show that the boy does have talent, and I think he does have enough talent to be in the Tottenham squad, in my opinion. But the problem for Tel is he's been here 18 months now, and if he's still not going to be trusted enough that he wants after 18 months, when will he be? And will he get those opportunities, especially if we're signing 2 wingers? So when it comes to this pre-season, it's massive for him. If he smashes it this pre-season and shows De Zerbi, I've really grown a lot more even over these last few months and in this pre-season, and me playing in an attacking system and me playing attacking football and getting these attacking positions, I can give you the output you're looking for. That'll be massive for him, and I think he's capable of really upping his output under De Zerbi. I'm really confident in that. Whether it's at the level of being a top 4 winger, or a winger, challenging for those top European spots on a consistent basis, is he quite there yet? I'm not sure. But could he get to a stage where he's getting 5 to 10 goals a season, or 5 or even over 10 goal contributions? I think he can do it. I really believe that. But is that good enough? Or do we want another, winger option in there? That's the question mark. He's got to prove to De Zerbi he can get more consistent output, because I think that is where that's where his main strengths are. I actually think it is his output. He just hasn't shown it enough, because I don't think he's an elite dribbler. I don't think he's amazing in one-on-one situation. I think he's decent. I think it's his shooting ability, but I don't think he's got in enough situations to show it off. But I think under De Zerbi he can do. So if he's getting goal after goal in this pre-season, maybe he can prove it. But it's whether he has that big pre-season.
Yeah, look, we have to wait and see how it goes. But I kind of put Tel in the same boat as your Vuskovics and your Lucas Bergvals and your potentially Archie Grays. These kind of players who are just below what we need right now. And look, we are trying to sign wingers, and he's going to have to be the fall guy if we sign any more. So I guess watch the space in the transfer market, because if you can get a top winger to come through the doors of the club, he is going to have to probably leave. That's the reality. So he might not even get the opportunity to really impress in pre-season.
I think he will, because pre-season's next week.
Yeah, but I mean for the entirety of pre-season.
I don't think he leaves during pre-season. I think if he leaves, it'll be in August. That's the feeling I get. But we'll see.
The season, starts late August. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It all depends on who we sign at the end of the day.
I think he'll get some games in pre-season.
Yeah, he'll definitely get some games. That's for sure.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm just not sure if it's going to be enough to sway De Zerbi's decision.
We'll see.
Oh, yeah, we will see. And, last but not least, there's a couple of players that you could mention here. But I kind of feel potentially Destiny. Destiny for the first time, he's got competition out on that left-hand side. So is he a threat of losing his first-team spot to Andy Robertson? He's got to prove his fitness first. That's what it really comes down to. But that comes over the course of the season. Doesn't really come at pre-season. So what are you feeling about Destiny? Do you think he's the one? He's one that really needs to prove himself to Roberto.
I think his spot in terms of his place in the squad is certain. I don't think we're looking to sell him because I think apparently we're looking to sell Spence over him. I think we could have kept Spence and maybe had him in competition with Robertson and sell the dog if we really wanted to, but we're not doing that. So I think his spot is certain, but 100% that first choice left back spot is not certain. It isn't certain because Robertson has much more experience playing in the Premier League than Destiny in terms of playing consistently at a high level. I understand he's 32 now, but next season, I think next season's a big one because it's one game a week. So Robertson can probably still do it one game a week to a high level, and he'll back himself to do it at a higher level than a doggy. A doggy is shown to be a good fullback in the Premier League, especially when he first came. I think he hasn't quite reached the heights of those first 10 games under Ange how he was performing at that time. So he definitely, his number one spot in the squad is definitely up for question, 100%. And Robertson is the kind of player where I don't think he needs to prove anyone anything. He's proven what kind of fullback he is, and if he's fit, you know what you're going to get with Robertson. So it's on a doggy to prove that he can offer more than Robertson, kind of when he's fit, and that's the big question mark for Destiny. So, yeah, I don't know if it's pre-season where he'll prove it, but yeah, I think staying fit is a massive thing for Destiny. I think. Yeah,
and that can't be proved in pre-season. That's got to be proved over the course of a season. So maybe he's not the right one that he needs to prove to De Zerbi over a pre-season. I guess another one, it could be one of the strikers. It could be a Solanke or a Richarlison.
I think those two. I think if they're both still here over pre-season, it could be a bit of a shootout because I get the feeling we're not going to sell both. I think one of them is going to stay and we're looking to sell one. I think the priority right now is Richarlison. He's older. He's, I think, physically I don't think he's as up to it as Solanke. But Richarlison as well, since Solanke's been there, he's kind of maybe got the better goal ratio. He's maybe been shown to be more likely to get goals than Solanke since Solanke has been at Tottenham. So I think as much as right now, Solanke is ahead of the queue, in my opinion. But also we spent big money on him not so long ago. I know Richarlison was a lot longer. So Richarlison's been here longer as well, so that plays into it. They both have had their injury issues, so there may be, you could say, on an even playing field when it comes to that. Although I guess you can say both players have shown previously at previous clubs their ability to stay fit, which is not at Tottenham. So I think it's probably leaning towards Solanke, but I do think there's a chance that could change. I do think that De Zerbi's opinion could be swayed here because I don't think he's convinced for sure Solanke and that's it. He's made his mind up. I think Richarlison maybe still has an opportunity to change his mind, and if it's going to happen, it'll happen in pre-season.
So a big pre-season for the strikers, that's for sure.
I think it's unlikely though. I do think it's unlikely that he'll change his mind. But I think he's probably leaning towards Solanke.
Yeah, you would say that, but I think as well, like he's leaning towards Solanke, but even like both the players' futures are up in the air in terms of the long-term futures at the football club.
Yeah, for sure.
We're evidently looking for a striker, and that'll be to the detriment of both of them. So we'll see what happens. It's up to Solanke to really prove to Roberto De Zerbi that he should be his number 9. And I think he's got the traits that De Zerbi is looking for in a striker. He can cause mayhem in the box. He's a great presser. He can be a good finisher. He just hasn't shown that on a consistent basis in the Spurs shirt, mainly due to the injuries that he's had. So it's up to him to prove it now. And it's, I think Solanke I agree with you. He'd probably be the one that we'll look to keep. But on the flip side of that, he's in last chance saloon now at Tottenham. This is it for Solanke. If he doesn't prove himself this season, then we have to get rid next summer. We have to. So those are the 5 players, or a few more than 5 players, that we think need a big pre-season at Tottenham. Next, we're going to be looking at 5 players who we think are going to be the most important players for Roberto De Zerbi going into next season. And the one that really sticks out to me is Pedro Porro. After such a big World Cup, could get even bigger this weekend. Such a phenomenal player, been misused by Thomas Frank last season. he has got the traits that De Zerbi looks for in a fullback. He's elite in terms of his numbers, or not in numbers, but going forward and what he can bring to you on the ball. I think he's getting better and better off the ball as his career goes on. So I think, you're looking at Pedro Porro, and De Zerbi is just going to love him next season.
Yeah, 100%. And I think he's been so important in previous years in our build-up, Pedro Porro. And because he's one of the only players, in our squad for previous years that's been so great on the ball and that elite quality when it comes to his ability to play out from the back and his passing range. And we're seeing that for Spain, what a difference he makes and how good he can be. And I think he's been so misused. What I would say about Porro is now we do have Van Hecke, we have Senesi, we have Tonali, we have Fernandes. Hopefully the focus on Porro doing all that kind of build-up stuff to the extent he was, in terms of the reliance on him we had. It felt like under Ange and under Frank, it was like during build-up, find Porro and then just hope he can do something good. And hopefully it won't be that. But I still think him playing that inverted fullback role is going to cause a lot of problems for oppositions, because having someone he's going to be the extra man a lot of the time, and having someone of his ability, always being the free man and always having that ability to find runners in behind and that kind of stuff. I think he's going to be so crucial, and you're seeing what crucial player he's been for Spain this summer, and I think De Zerbi is going to use him correctly. And we're already seeing improvements last season when De Zerbi came in, and I think that's going to go up tenfold. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many easy options that you can go for. You go for Mickey van der Ven, you can go for Tonali, you can go for Mateus Fernandes. All these players are going to be our most important players next season, aren't they?
Yeah.
You're looking at them.
I think one who's going to be, depending on how good he's going to be Maddison. I think, obviously, he's been out with an ACL, but he is probably still right now, when it comes to in and around the box. At the time of recording, we don't know who we're going to sign, in the forward line and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to in and around the box, he's still got the best vision for me in the squad. He's still got the one player in the squad right now who's got that ability to, pick the lock or, get a goal from 25 yards, all that kind of stuff when he's at his best. He's still the person who needs to play together at its most. And I know we've got Fernandes and Tonali, and they should really help progressing the ball, and they should really help finding Maddison in those positions a lot more often than our other midfielders. So hopefully we see a lot more of Maddison. But I think if Maddison isn't kind of at his best, we will be a worse team for it. Unless we sign, obviously, other players who can compensate. But I still think he's going to be the central hub to our attack, James Maddison. And he's going to be so crucial. And he's going to be the kind of perfect De Zerbi kind of player, because he's got quick thinking. He can see the pass before anyone else. And he's going to have options now around him, and he's not going to be isolated like he's been in other scenarios.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be so crucial.
You even saw it when he came back last season, how important. Even if he wasn't incredible and didn't have fantastic performances, you could just see the authority that he commands on the pitch when he was there.
He was playing at 50%. He was still probably our best player on the ball.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It was mad.
So, I completely agree with that. And I do feel like without James Maddison, there's a massive creative void in this squad still. So we need him back to his best. And, he'd have pre-season to get back there. The games at the back end of last season would have done him the world of good as well. So hopefully James Maddison can back to it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see him in pre-season, if he's flying, if he's full of confidence in his own body, and if he's ready to go, or if he's still kind of feeling his way through the injury and stuff like that. Obviously, it's you wouldn't blame him after coming off an ACL. It takes a bit of time, but it'd be interesting to see what kind of level he's at when he's at pre-season, because sometimes you come into pre-season and you're just flying and you're raring to go, and if he's in that kind of form, that'll be so exciting.
Yeah, so we got Porro, we got Madders. Next one's got to be Mohamed Kudus.
Yeah.
Mohamed Kudus out for half a season last year. First year, again, he was our best attacker, but he was so misused by Thomas Frank, basically our tactics was get it to Mohamed Kudus and inshallah, basically. You know what I mean? So next year, De Zerbi is going to have a proper plan for him. I think he would have been working in his head how to use Kudus at the back end of last season when he thought he was going to come in. He already mentioned how much of a big player he thinks Kudus can be for him. And I think you're going to see such levels from Mohamed Kudus next season, thanks to Roberto De Zerbi and how he's going to utilise him. So I think he's going to proper unlock Kudus next season.
Yeah, I think Kudus is a massive player. It's not just his incredible dribbling ability, but it's his strength, it's his ability to hold players off, it's his ability to open up space because he drags players towards him, he invites players to close him down, and you need to double up on him. And if we can force oppositions to do that and then open up the spaces for the likes of Maddison Tonali and other players in the central areas, that's exactly how De Zerbi ball can be at its fullest. And I think Mohamed Kudus is going to be such an important player for Roberto De Zerbi. Right now, he's obviously our best winger. I think he's going to enjoy kind of what he can do with Kudus. I think most games he'll be out wide, but maybe there'll be some games he'll play centrally and try and get a tactical advantage that way. There might have been some games he'll play up front. There'll be some times he'll play off the left. I think most of the times he'll play off the right, and he'll be able to be that two-way winger that De Zerbi absolutely loves to play with. And you've seen that at Brighton, what he can do with these wingers. And I think Kudus is such a kind of unique kind of winger in terms of his strength and his dribbling ability, and he's got a good ability to create chances. Obviously, we all want him to up his output and his decision making, and I think the difference now is he's going to have players around him. He's going to have options to play with. He's going to have maybe combinations. I think last season he just didn't have anyone near him, and he had to do everything himself, and it was either he did something himself or we didn't create a chance, and he felt that responsibility. It felt there were some times where he even had options and he just ignored them because he felt this responsibility to do it all himself.
Yeah.
So if Zerbi can really work on,
he's going to refine his game.
Yeah, refining him, making sure that when he has options he uses them. I think there's going to be no stopping Kudus next season.
Can't agree more. I guess the number 4, you got to give it to the Dutch Wall. Like, put both of them in one, because I think you're looking at a partnership there that could really blossom in Mickey van der Ven and Jan-Paul van Hecke. But he's already said that he thinks Mickey van der Ven is the best left centre back in the league. Van Hecke is basically like his son, so the reports suggest. So I think these two together, they could be the yin to each other's yang. Both of them have different traits. Both of them excel at their traits, and they both have such different ones as well. So I think what Van der Ven isn't so great at, Van Hecke can cover for, and what Van Hecke isn't so great at, Mickey van der Ven will be there to back him up. So I think both these guys, they're going to be that kind of rock, that base at the back for us to go and move forward and do what we need to do.
100%. And I think we're going to see the return of the high line. We're going to see the return of aggressive kind of putting pressure on the opposition, and that's going to mean we're going to need Van der Ven even more in those kind of recovery runs as we have.
Hamstrings next season.
Yeah, hopefully he's kind of refined his running style and all that kind of stuff that's hopefully helped him. Obviously, last season he did benefit in a way from not having to do too much of that, and we saw a better Van der Ven, but then on the flip side, it seemed like Van der Ven wasn't enjoying his football as much, and he was kind of playing the football he didn't like, even though we will maybe seeing him less exposed and we're seeing him be better in a way. So I think he would have benefited from that experience, but I think him and Van Hecke, 100%. Van Hecke is obviously not as fast as Van der Ven, but they're both tall, they're both strong, and I think we know Van Hecke, his ability passing in between the lines, that progressive passing, that ability to find teammates in between the lines, coupled with the fact we've got Van der Ven being that safety net that we all know within De Zerbi's system. I think they're both going to be so crucial, and I think that's a partnership you think is made in heaven.
Yeah, I completely agree. Do you think, because we always said that about Van der Ven and Romero, they're both so complementary of each other. Who, as a partnership, who do you think is going to be more complementary of each other, the Van der Ven and Van Hecke, or Romero and Van der Ven?
Tough to say. I think Romero's a bit more aggressive than Van der Ven, than Van Hecke, so maybe you could argue Van Hecke might not leave Van de Ven as exposed as Romero sometimes
Still
did.
incredibly aggressive though, Van Hecke, isn't he?
He is. It's tough to say. Maybe in terms of just purely footballing wise, not in terms of, you know, Romero's unavailability through suspension, injury, all that kind of stuff, taking that out of it, I think our record with Romero and Van de Ven was still pretty good, even when they were just, if you look at our results when them two were on the pitch. So I don't know, probably it's tough to say. I'll go with Van Hecke. I'll be positive. Van Hecke and Van de Ven.
And the last one, I guess you've got to give it to the new midfield signings. That's going to really, I know it's, again, 2 players. It's kind of cheating. But both of these two together are a bit similar to like Van de Ven and Van Hecke. They're both going to have the traits to work with each other so well. You know, Tonali being the kind of engine, Mateus Fernandes being the passer and being able to progress the ball. I guess they can both progress it, but Mateus is, you know, more of a specialist in it than Tonali maybe. But I think both these players, both having great engine, by the way, both having such great traits that can really revolutionise the midfield. And it's like traits that we've been missing in that midfield for so long.
100%. I think it's going to be so nice to see 2 midfielders comfortable on the ball in the centre of our midfield for the first time, which seems like ages. I think that's going to completely change how we play against oppositions. I think for the last year especially, we've pretty much been bypassing midfield because either we don't trust them or we just, that's not how we played, with Frank. We would be only playing out wide, so focused on building out wide. So finally we have Fernandes and we've got Tonali, our 2 players really comfortable in possession, really comfortable not phased by players pressing them, confident picking passes in between the lines, confident carrying the ball forward, and as well more comfortable in the final third if they do tend to pick up the ball in those areas. So it's going to be a completely different look to our midfield, and I don't know if the Tottenham fans are ready for it yet. I don't know if they know what they're going to get.
They are ready. They were born ready, the Tottenham fans.
Because it's going to be a completely different kind of look to our midfield, and when we've been so not used to playing through the middle, starved of central progression, and it's going to be a completely different look.
You know what the first game with them is going to be like? It's going to be like Kinski's first game.
Yeah.
Remember when Kinski against Liverpool, everyone was like, wow, we've got a goalkeeper that can actually pass it, you know, that cup game against Liverpool. Yeah. So, like, when it gets to Brentford away, come the first game of the season, and we see these two playing with each other and them actually progressing the ball, and it's going to be like, wow, what have we actually got here?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're going to be amazed by it.
Yeah. So, look, we cheated a little bit. Instead of 5 players, what did we do? We did 8 players, 9, 10 players.
No, you don't have to remind me.
A lot of players. So basically the whole team is the most important players for next season. So let us know in the comment section below, did we miss anyone out? And if we did, let us know who they are. But we do, I think a couple more super chats did come in. I was just one more from Oliver Furness saying, the price doesn't concern me. I just think we can do better. And that's obviously on Savinho.
Savinho. I understand that, but in terms of what he offers, there aren't many better that I think we could get in terms of what he offers. Now, if you're just talking about purely as a footballer, if you value only goals and assists, and that's sort of the only metric you look at, then yeah, there may be other players out there who do more than Savinho right now. But if you're looking, if De Zerbi is looking for a winger who offers what Savinho offers, which is ability to create chances, ability to take players on, ability to play both wings, then I don't know how much better we can get, to be honest, right now.
Yeah. By the way, there has been a tiny bit of breaking news just come out. Tynan Thompson looks like he's off to Manchester United, which was a bit of a surprise. You know, did very well in the academy last season, but yeah, Ed White saying he saw no pathway for him at Spurs, which is, you know, probably not wrong, to be honest, with the players that we're looking to bring through. Mikey Moore there as well, Tell there as well. So it looks as though he visited Carrington this week and he's going to be off to Manchester United.
It's a shame. He looked bright last season in the pre-season games and stuff. And look, it's true. If I'm Tynan Thompson, there probably isn't a pathway right now for you into the first team, especially with his 18. obviously it's a shame we never really got the chance to send him on loan or anything and see what he's about at that level. And the fact he's going to Man United goes to show how rated he is. And clearly teams are looking at him thinking this is a very talented kid. So that is a shame. That is a shame. And I was hoping he would stick around, and I hope other young players don't look at it the same way, like in terms of Lucas William Barnett or Junai Beifeld and players like that, because I would love to have some young players around that can grow with the team, and once they get their chances, they're hungry and they're young and they have this connection with the club as well. So I don't want to lose all of them, and that's obviously the risk you run when you sign all these players for big money that we're doing. But from our point of view, it just couldn't continue, could it?
Yeah.
The way we were going.
Absolutely. So yeah, if he does end up going, wish him the best of luck for the future, and I'm sure, hopefully they'll handle his development well. Next segment, we're going to talk about, and I want you guys to answer in the chat as well. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane, and we're going to discuss what is the best ever individual season we've ever seen at Tottenham Hotspur. We're hoping to see one next season, or multiple next season, but we've seen so many great individual seasons down the line with Tottenham Hotspur. Who's the best one, do you reckon? There's been so many standouts when you look at Kane and a couple of seasons, a lot of seasons. You can talk about Harry Kane, Sonny, Bale, Berbatov. There are so many that spring to mind. What do you think the actual best one was?
I mean, the one that stands out for sure is obviously Gareth Bale. When we didn't get Champions League that season, we obviously missed out. But he scored 21 goals that year. Yeah. Of those 21 goals, I think it was a record for the amount of goals outside the box. We were literally a one-man team that season. We would be stodgy. We would fail to break teams down. We would be struggling through games. And it would be like very on an even keel. And then Bale would just come up with the most worldy of worldies every single week to bail us out. And he would be the one to win us the game. And the goals he was scoring that season, I don't think I've seen.
It's like bangers every week.
I don't think I've seen ever in any Premier League campaign the amount of the quality of goals from a single player in over a single season. It was absolutely astonishing, the goals he was scoring. The one that sticks out, obviously, the goal against West Ham at Upton Park in the last minute when we won 3-2. There was loads, but I mean, there's so many that stand out. There was so many incredible goals. He was finding free kicks that season as well. He was scoring so many last-minute winners. Obviously, this got him the at the time, which was a world record fee to move to Real Madrid because of how good he was. He signed for 85 million at the time. Incredible season from Gareth Bale. I don't remember a better individual season for me. I mean, there's a lot of candidates, but I think for me that would probably be the best one. I think I just can't look past it. Obviously, he won the Player of the Year as well. But even ended up finishing 5th, and he still won the Player of the Year that season, which is, in recent times, very rare. It's for a player finishing that low to win Player of the Year. So Gareth Bale, for me, he was just phenomenal. And he found new positions. He was playing off the strike. He was playing off the right. He was doing all sorts of things, and he was just unstoppable that year. Absolutely unstoppable.
That was under Villas-Boas, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we all look back at Villas-Boas being like, well, what did he actually do for Tottenham? But the way he managed Gareth Bale was actually phenomenal. It really was. Not much has been said about that. And everyone, obviously Bale gets all the plaudits, but it was actually Villas-Boas that was finding these new positions for him. 100%. Like, it's hard to look away from that Bale season. It really is. But there's just so many stand out. I mean, Kane in his last season, 30 Premier League goals? 30
Premier League goals in his last season. I don't even know if that was his best season, but that was, you got to look at that. The Kane in his last season when he was carrying the team and but we were awful. He had Kane under Mourinho where he got Golden Boot and Playmaker of the Year in that same season. And then that was truly when he became that all-round creator.
That was like a low Premier League tally for Golden Boot. He got like 23 goals that season, but still got it.
But he got Golden Boot and Playmaker.
Yeah.
The most assists as
well.
And
didn't get Player of the Year, by the way.
Somehow. Yeah, well, that was a robbery. But under Mourinho, he unlocked that full all-round game, which, he was kind of threatening to have. You had Kane when he got the golden boot in 2017, where he scored 7 goals in his last 2 games to snatch it off Lukaku.
Oh, mate, those 2 games, man.
Those were unbelievable, weren't they?
The Leicester and Hull, when we just absolutely blitzed them. Mate, I yearn for those days back.
I know. Those were party times.
Mate, and oh man, I miss those days so much. Prime Pochettino.
Kane that season was an absolute beast, though. Absolute beast.
He got 29 that season, and then he got 30 the season after as well.
Yeah, 30. Those 2 seasons were probably, in terms of him just being a out-and-out number 9, like just a beast number 9 penalty box striker, those are his 2 best seasons for sure. That was like prime box Kane, striker Kane. Now he's different beast now. He's adapted his game. He's a kind of different kind of player. He's more of like a false 9 now. But like then he was like a proper number 9, banging in headers every game. The strikes on goal. Obviously he still has that, but back then he was like the physicality. He would have the pace to get away from players. He would bully defenders in those seasons. He was just electric at that point. Harry Kane, what a player he was.
Well, I mean, I always think about like this, and think about that season, Berbatov's last season for Spurs. Like he didn't score that many. He scored 15 goals, right? And on face of it, it's not like unbelievable individual season. But what he actually did for us in that season was just like, sometimes you're just watching him just in awe, being like, how have you just done that? Like literally the ball's coming down from like 40 feet up in the sky and he would just control it with one touch. Like this guy had the best touch I've ever seen anyone at Tottenham. Like seriously, that season, what he would do just on his own up front, like defenders just didn't know what to do with him, how to defend against him, because that touch would just get him away and get him out of all sorts of problems. It was just, I don't remember seeing that sort of talent with the first touch before, ever. I have never seen it again. I
don't think we've seen a striker in the Premier League like him since.
No.
Like, he is such a unique player. The way his technical ability he would barely move on the pitch, and yet his first touch, his technical ability just did all the work for him. I actually think his first season at Spurs was better. I know he scored less goals, but I think he got into the Premier League team of the season that season. And I remember the amount of the shock of what he was just doing. Like, he would like barely move, yet his first touch, he would like do things and move defenders around just with his technical ability without actually having to do much himself. He was scoring scissor kicks from outside the box. I remember some of the goals he scored in the Europa League. I remember there was one against Braga where he took it on his chest and volleyed it on the run. That was one of my favourite goals I've ever seen from him. His volleying technique was astounding. And I think what I remember mostly was actually a game I don't think he even scored in, where we were down to 10 men against Bolton. And he ran the game. Like, somehow. We were down to 10 men and he was up on his own, not even like a pacey striker, yet we would just thump the ball to him and he would just bring it down on his chest with his first touch and just hold the ball up and wait, bring players into play or flick it over defenders and get shots off. That was one of the best individual performances I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt, I remember.
Whenever I talk about Berbatov to people, that's the game I always bring up, because that just describes Berbatov in a nutshell. And it's a game that maybe some people don't remember, 1-0 away at Bolton, not a standout game or anything, but we had 10 men and he just controlled that game, literally. When I say the players don't know how to defend against him, that is a key example of it. Like, he had, they might have even played 3 at the back that day or 2, like whoever they played, they had defenders around Berbatov all the time. He was the only man that we had in their half of the pitch, and he won the ball every single time. It was nuts. Just
with his technical one first touch, and he'd like be moving players around. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. I think maybe another player we talk about is potentially Dembele in our last season at White Hart Lane. I think that season that was probably the season where he was most on the pitch, he was most fit, and that was probably the season where, especially in our home games, he was just such a big element of how we were able to dominate games so intensely, because he was a cheat code. Doesn't matter where you are on the pitch, doesn't matter what time of the game, whatever, doesn't matter how many players he's got on him, you give him the ball in any situation, he can just wriggle out of it.
Yeah.
It was mad what he was able to do.
Thing is, like, big games, he used to turn up and just run the show. Like, nobody could get the ball off him. drive through the heart of midfield, and he was built like a bloody ox. Like it was just like players bouncing off him everywhere he was going. That's what it was like. So yeah, 100% Dembele in that season. But you know, what really made me fall in love with Tottenham and made me really fall in love with you know, watching football was David Ginola in that season where he won PFA and Writers Player of the Season. We won the cup. We lost in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. That goal against Barnsley. He didn't score that many goals, but every goal he scored was an absolute banger. Players didn't know how to cope against him. Go one way, go the other way, jinking through their whole team. He was just phenomenal to watch, David Ginola. Everything that he did was just done with such style, such panache, such quality, such class. I mean, he is the guy, and that season made me really fall in love with Tottenham and with what he was doing, because like, it was a team full of shit basically that year, and then you just had a shining light in David Ginola that would just take the ball from our own half and just dribble it past that whole team and either create a chance or score a banger. I mean, that season from Ginola was breathtaking, and that's why, you know, Man United win the treble and he wins PFA Player of the Year.
Yeah, says it all, doesn't it? That says it all about the kind of season he had. And I think he won Players Player of the Year. So it was players acknowledging, despite the fact that we were like lower mid-table wherever we finished, and the fact that United won a treble, the players still thought he was the best player in the whole league that season. I think that says it all. The goals he was scoring as well. I mean, I talk about Bale's goals, but Ginola scored some. Every goal was a banger. Ginola. He didn't score tap-ins. It was only bangers from Ginola, and that was just what he was like. That was just his. That was his quality. I think Sonny's Golden Boot season.
Oh yeah,
that was a special season as well. I think that was the season where he really went from being just a very good player to like a class player to like a world class elite player, that elite finisher, that player like. In on goal, doesn't, you know, you had no doubts he was going to finish it. Some of those finishes were just, he was actually that at that moment in time probably one of, in the top 5 or maybe even higher of finishes in Europe. Not even in Premier League, in the whole of Europe, he was up there. Probably him, Kane, and Messi, like those three. And that was, at that time, that's what it was like. He was that good. He was that clinical. Like, you just gave him half a yard, half a bit of space.
As well.
Yeah, but Cristiano, I actually don't think he was as good at the time as Sonny. Finishing, I'm talking about, not player. Obviously, a better player. I'm just saying, finishing-wise, I think he was probably top 3 at that moment in time. Literally, any angle, if you gave him any space, he was able to find the corner. Amount of times his finishes just find those corners from tight angles is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And the timing of his runs, he was an elite runner from in behind. Every time he times it to perfection, stays on side, and you always back him to slot home. His finishing on both feet, he's the most two-footed player, I think, of all time. I don't think there's a more two-footed player. I think in the Premier League history, he's one of the only players to have got a certain amount of goals with both feet, like right foot and left foot, because of how great he is. He doesn't have a weak foot. Yeah. And I think that season, it all came like to a crescendo, just like the amount of goals he scored, and obviously winning Golden Boot. What a special season that was. Yeah. That was an absolute special season.
Absolutely. A lot of people in the chat saying, obviously, Luka Modric.
What season was his better? Probably his last one.
It's got to be his last one.
When he tried to leave.
Exactly. He tried to leave the summer before to Chelsea. And we're like, no, you ain't going to Chelsea, mate. You'll stay one more year and you'll go to Real Madrid for a lesser fee. But that season was just like, wow. Like, how are we ever going to cope with Luka Modric leaving this football club? Because, again, I actually think that season from Modric might have been better than that season from Dembele.
Yeah, probably. Because it's Luka Modric. And he still is a complete unicorn, Modric. How is someone of like his size just so strong? He was actually not only one of the most technically gifted, but one of the strongest midfielders. He had thighs like this big. It was absolutely crazy. He would have an incredible long shot. I remember, I think Wenger said before we signed him that he looked at him and thought he was going to be too small and too weak for the Premier League. And how wrong was he? And his his poor decision making was to our
Things
benefit.
Got Arsene Wenger. You know, Arsene Wenger said Harry Kane was too fat for Arsenal as well. So a few things he got wrong.
Yeah, but Luka Modric, I remember Harry Redknapp when he first came. He started him out wide. But anyway, that season when he nearly left, I remember the goals he was scoring. I remember he scored at home to Liverpool, away at Bolton, some absolute crackers. And he was just running midfields. Just with the outside of his boot, he would run midfields. Yeah. He loved that pass, the outside of his boot. And he was phenomenal that season. Phenomenal. He dragged us to the fourth place, really.
Yeah. What do you reckon Ledley King's best season was at Spurs?
Probably. His best season was probably... maybe the one where we got Champions League.
But even that season, did he even play that much that season?
I think he did. That season he played probably maybe like 20 games, which is a lot for King.
Yeah.
Either that or maybe the one where we got pipped on the last day by Arsenal with food poisoning. That might have been his best season. Yeah, that might have been the best season.
Under Martin Jol. So, look, so many. I mean, we could sit here all day talking about individual performances for Spurs, but definitely Gareth Bale probably takes the trophy on this one. So let us know in the comment section below, have we forgotten anyone? Let us know who you think was the best individual player or best player that had an individual season at Spurs.
Well, we didn't even think maybe Dele Alli in 2017 when he got 18 goals and like 10 assists or something.
Yeah.
That season, that is up there. That is right up there, one of the best.
Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen had some phenomenal seasons individually. Phenomenal.
He did. I don't know if he actually ever had a season as good as that Ali season. Dele, that season.
With Eriksen, right? With Eriksen, a lot of times, like, you didn't notice how good he was until he was out the team.
I know, it's true.
And then when he's out the team, you're thinking, like, we're desperate for Eriksen here. Like, he used to do so much running. He used to be the whole creative hub of the team. His numbers were just insane. Like, the way Christian Eriksen, the way it ended at Spurs, it was a bit sour. So I don't think people give him the respect that he actually deserved when he was at Spurs. Because when he was at Spurs, he was a much more important player for us than Dele Alli, in my opinion.
Yeah, he made Dele look better, to be fair. But that season from Dele was special. 18 goals. I think it was like 10 assists as well. He was just lethal. And the little special things, the special kind of goals he was scoring as well. What a player what a season that was. And it was such a shame he never really built on that. But that was one of the best seasons we've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt, I think.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. But again, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. As we move on, I'm going to bring you something a little different today. We're going to be doing some blind rankings. Usually you see them on your shorts on social media and stuff like that. We've got 3 different ones to do. So let's bring it up. We don't know what's coming next.
Which one should we do first?
Let's do the current squad. So we're gonna blind rank 10 players in the current squad. You guys play along with us. So Mickey van der Ven. Where are we putting Mickey?
He's probably what 2 or 1 maybe. Are we putting? I don't know. I don't feel right putting 1 straight away. Is it 2 rankings for me and Ben? No. I
think it could be 1.
It could be 1, you know. It could be 1. I mean, I don't know who would go above him. But we could be missing someone, and then later we reject him.
I think 1. I really do think 1. It's Mickey van der Ven.
All right, 1. We'll go 1.
1.
Porro.
2, I guess.
2 or 3. Because, you got Tonali.
Oh, the new guys. I don't know where to put the new guys. Someone says 5. No way. Let's go 3.
Porro 3. Tonali 2.
Go on, 2. 2 for Tonali. He hasn't even played a game yet, but he's number 2.
Spence.
4, I guess. Wait,
4?
How many is it?
10.
Oh, it's 10.
I think Spence goes in like 8. 8 or 9.
I think 7.
7. All right, we'll settle on 7. Conor Gallagher.
8. 8.
8.
I think Spence over Gallagher, yeah.
Tell. 10.
9. There's going to be someone worse than Tell.
All right, 9.
9.
Madison.
Yeah,
he's
he'll
got to
be
go 5th.
Yeah, 5.
5.
5.
Yeah. Kudus, 4.
4.
Bentancur.
Yeah,
So what have we got?
We can go 6.
6 or 10? Oh, it's risky. 6 or 10. Put him in 6. Go on.
Ah!
Oh,
No! What have we done? So sorry, Mateus.
Mateus goes into 10.
Oh, we should have. Oh man, what have we
So
done?
what have we got here? We got Van der Ven in 1. We got Tonali in 2. Porro in 3. Who's that in 4? Kudus 4. Madison 5. Bentancur 6. Spence 7. Gallagher 8. Tell 9. And Mateus 10. I told you Tell 10.
Yeah, it should have been Tell 10. I got that one wrong. Ah, Sammy set us up. Ah,
Again, now that you know.
Nah. You can't do it again. All right, what's the next one?
Spurs players or managers? Spurs players or managers?
Let's go for X players.
all right, blind ranking players.
Josh
Onaman, that's 10.
10.
Surely that's 10 immediately.
I'll keep that at third.
Sonny 1.
1.
1.
We're picking Sonny 1. No doubt about it. Werner,
Timo
9.
It's got to be 9 for
This is
Timo.
easy so far.
Oh,
no! What are you
What have you done to
bastard?
us? Why would you bring him up? I
absolute-
swear to God.
And we used 10 already. Oh my god.
Jesus Christ, Sammy.
Well, we put him in 8. So we put Campbell over Werner and Onoma.
That's actually triggered me, man. How are you even bringing him up on this?
Nah, my head's gone. My head's gone.
Ericsson.
I'm on Mars.
3 or 4?
4.
4.
4. All the
Toby.
Vera. Oh,
5?
5. Shit, maybe we should have Ericsson higher.
Yeah,
5.
5. Bale,
Okay, 2.
It's going to be Kane, isn't it? Oh, Nasser
Chadley.
Chadley.
He can be 7.
Yeah. Musa.
Oh, 3 or 6.
It's got to be Kane coming next, surely.
I don't trust Sam.
It's got to be Kane.
I don't know if he. I reckon he's FK now. He's baiting us. 3 or 6.
Go for 6. Go for 6.
6.
Yeah.
7.
6.
Sure.
I think 3.
What's the chat saying?
3 or 6, guys. That picture is pissed in this. What do we think? 3 or 6?
I reckon someone better than Dembele's coming next.
You reckon? I think someone. I've got a feeling someone worse. 6, 6, 3, 3, 6, 3, 6, 6. Oh, I have most people saying 6. All right, go on 6. Carl Walker.
All right.
Oh, yeah, okay, it's
Best
acceptable.
right back ever. So what have we got here? We've got Sonny in 1, Bale in 2, Walker in 3. Is that Ericsson in 4, Alderweireld in 5th. Who's the next one?
Dembele.
Dembele in 7, Chadley in 8.
Chadley 7.
Oh, Chadley 7.
Yeah, we don't have an 8. Werner
9?
9 and
Werner
Onoma
9
10. That's
and
pretty
Onoma
accurate,
10.
to be fair. It's pretty accurate. I'm pretty happy with that.
Apart from 8, yeah, it's very accurate.
The managers.
All right, let's do the managers. AVB. Gave him his praise before.
Probably 6.
We've had some terrible managers, man. Yeah, it's got to be somewhere
Maybe
around
5?
6. 6. Put him in 6. Antonio. 4?
4. Great. 4, 5.
5.
5.
5.
4,
Yeah.
4, 4,
4.
4.
Ryan
Mason.
Mason. What, 9? 8?
Yeah. 8.
Put him in 8. Doesn't he have our best like win percentage?
Probably something like that, yeah.
8. Martin, yo, the
yeah.
Godfather. Put him in
3.
3. Thomas Frank, 10.
Get him out of here.
10.
Well, no, I think 9 maybe. Oh,
Who's worse than Thomas Frank? He nearly got us relegated.
Yeah, 10. 10
Thomas Frank's the worst.
Poch. Number 1.
Bill Nick better not come. Harry, 2.
Ah.
He's got to go
5.
5.
5. Big Ange. Should have put him at 1.
Jose.
Yeah, he could be a 7.
7. So who's going to be 9? You got
Tudor.
He's probably the only one that could go below Frank, to be fair.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah, if you swap Frank and Tudor around, I reckon, then it's spot on.
Well, what Poch, Redknapp, Yo, Conte, Ange, Villas-Boas, Mourinho, Mason, Tudor, Frank. That's pretty accurate, I think.
Only one manager on that list has won us a trophy.
It's true. Absolutely spot on about that. It's who we are, mate.
Yeah.
It's who we are.
And 9, get rid of Ben. Oh, did you like this, guys? If you like this kind of content, we'll bring it back. I quite enjoyed that, to be fair. But let us know in the comment section below. 3 blind rankings videos for you guys. How accurate were they? Let us know, because I quite enjoyed that. Yeah, we could do like endless amounts of these. There's so many that we can do. But do let us know in the comment section below. So play one. We've only got 3 lined up, guys, so we can't play it again. But definitely next week we'll bring some more for you guys.
Well, surprisingly fun.
Surprisingly fun.
Enjoyed this content.
All right, and last but not least, let's get into some of your comments, people. You guys, once again, we are Tottenham Army. Let's see what you got for us today.
All right, Digo says, watching you boys get eager to watch them kick a ball and speed through the conditioning stuff. Then we're left wondering why we have an injury crisis. We need to watch more conditioning and fitness stuff.
No, it's the fitness team need to watch more conditioning.
No, we have to watch it. We need to focus on that, apparently. Don't worry about the footballing side. As long as
now
we're watching
we know why we're in an injury crisis.
Exactly.
Because Ben and Sim are not looking over the conditioning videos.
Yeah, we're not giving our advice and our takes on how they lift weights and all that kind of stuff. Because we're experts about that stuff. Get them playing with the football. Get me excited. T-Moon says, this was in reaction to our training video, says, this is like the Spartans in Training for War from the movie 300 with De Zerbi as King Leonidas.
This is Sparta!
Hoping to see a brutal and terrifying Spurs like never seen before that strikes fear in the enemy's camp.
Absolutely,
come on, you Spurs.
That's exactly what we're going to see next season. Roberto De Zerbi's Warriors are going to be coming for all of you guys.
Yeah, 100%. And he will be like King Leonidas. He's going to kick Arteta down that hole. It's going to be brilliant. Can't wait. Tango says, we should seriously think about signing Voltemada.
You know what? We might. I think, like, him as a profile of a striker is someone that De Zerbi might like. Very strong, good in the air, can cause chaos in opposition boxes. I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, I think it's a weird one with Eddie Howe, how he's used him and why he's used him that way. But I think that's a lot to do with Eddie Howe himself rather than Voltemada. I thought when he was playing up front, he was doing all right. He was scoring goals. Holding up play was decent. He's a bit of a weird player where he's actually very technical. He's got great feet for a big man, as they say. And but physically, I think he was also a handful. I don't understand why he took him out of the number 9. I think it's because he likes to see his number 9s be a bit more dynamic. And maybe Voltemada didn't quite fit that. But he was playing in midfield, and that was strange. I think if we sold Solanke, we could do a lot worse than Voltemada.
Yeah, I agree. I like Voltemada.
Richard P6V7 says, Bergvall could end up being the next Anderson at Forest, being bought cheap by Forest, then by City for 100 million. Still think it's a big mistake to take a short-term cash bump instead of taking a chance and waiting to see if he becomes what we hope he can. Just think we're going to lose Bergvall because we bought that useless lump Gallagher in January. Also, not shocked at Porro. Him getting sick last season was a complete joke. He's so obviously a good player, but looked crap last year because we had 2 jokers in Frank Frank and Tudor, who made everyone look crap. It's no shock we looked good under De Zerbi, and now for Spain, he'll be an absolute key player next season, and cannot believe the number of fans who wanted him gone.
You see, I don't disagree with much he said there, but the stuff about Lucas Bergvall saying, we could regret it, but the way we're signing players, we shouldn't regret it. Because you've got Mateus Fernandes there, he's 21 years of age. If he keeps going in the trajectory he's going on, it's not going to make too much of an issue. We've got Sandro Tonali there. Obviously we'll keep signing players as it goes, as and when we see fit. So we shouldn't feel the loss of him too much, but obviously seeing him ball it out and become one of the leading players in the Premier League will hurt a little bit, because it's what we could have had. But it shouldn't hurt us too much. But I do agree, we probably should be prioritising Bergvall over Conor Gallagher.
That's
I
the thing.
probably would.
We said it at the time, didn't we? When Gallagher signed, it's like we've got so many eights now where there's going to have to be some fall guys here. We can't keep them all. And we said, some of these players who we like are going to have to go now because we've got Gallagher in. And this is what we're seeing. Bergvall and Sarr likely to leave, which is a shame. And I think Bergvall might have a higher ceiling than Gallagher, but look, I also don't think we've seen the best of Gallagher at Tottenham. True. I think he's probably, we judge him based on what we've seen, and fair enough, you can only do that.
De Zerbi clearly rates him.
But De Zerbi rates him. He was a very good player at Chelsea, at Palace. So, let's see if we can see the best of Gallagher. But also, it's from what we've seen of Gallagher, I wouldn't want to lose Bergvall for that.
Yeah.
Either way. Jason Prong says, why does no one understand this? Why does no one understand this? We cannot keep selling our best gems and keep players like Connor and Sarr with less of a ceiling. It's stupid and will be effed in 2 seasons unless we spend another 200 million.
We don't need to spend another 200 million. I think the idea is we spend all this big money this summer, which is basically a rebuild of the first team. And then if everything goes to plan, then you only need to spend a big player here, a big player there. We're not going to have to do transfer windows like this every summer. That's just not sustainable. The plan is to do this one big summer and then cherry pick players every year.
Just something supplement it, 100%. Yeah. But he says, I think when he says we can't keep selling our gems for Sarr and Connor, I think Sarr's going to leave. And when it comes to Connor, Liz, I think when it comes to backing Connor up, it's hard to justify it because he's not been great ever since he's come to Tottenham. I think everyone can, apart from a few performances under Zerbi, he just hasn't been great, and that's true. But I also think there's a lot more to come from Connor. I think we've seen he can play in the Premier League to a high level. So let's hope De Zerbi can get the best out of him, because I think what we've seen in him doing the Premier League is a lot more from what we've seen from Bergvall or whoever else. So right now, that's what we're going on. But also, from what we've seen in the Tottenham shirt, he's not been great. So I understand his frustrations, but they're more ready-made players right now. That's just the truth. So, I think De Zerbi is doing what he's got to do.
The reality is Mateus Fernandes is the same age as Bergvall, pretty much. 1 year in it.
Yeah, that's also true. That is also true. As Spurs says, selling Lancashire would be the dumbest of decisions ever. He had the best loan last year. Young English proper 9, give him a chance.
See, there's 2 ways you can look at it. There's that take, but there's also a take saying, depends what De Zerbi thinks of him, and if he doesn't think that he's going to make it to the top, his stock is at his highest right now. So I can see both ways of looking at it. So it all very much depends on what De Zerbi thinks of him, and does he think he can make it to the top? If not, then we do have to sell him this summer, because this is when his stock's going to be at its very highest.
Yeah, it's true. It's hard to know what level he's at. I think looking at it just of his trajectory in his career, I think most football fans will look at that and think, this guy, he's maybe onto something. And I think it would be really good to see a young English striker given a chance. And that's a real opportunity for Tottenham to also either earn a lot more money or have a striker, which the market is very difficult to see the market on that at the moment, especially for English strikers. But on the flip side, it's hard to know what level he's truly at. He did get 11 goals in the Championship, but it's hard to know if that means he's Prem ready or if he's ever going to be Prem ready to the level that we want. It's hard to know that.
Yeah.
RFS says, we should be keeping Spence, not selling him. get rid of sick note or Doggy, can't play more than 3 or 4 games in a row, and then out for months. Jedley, consistent and always available and versatile. We'd be off our heads to get rid of him, but hey, with Flange and Vinay making decisions, he'll probably go. I mean, looking at his performances in the World Cup, a lot of fans are now starting to say surely we can't sell him. And is he worth keeping around over a Doggy? Is he showing in the World Cup he can play more on the left than maybe we think? But the reality is as well, we've seen over most of the season or most of his time here, that off the left is just not perfect for him. I don't know.
He was being utilised then.
Yeah, but it's also possible, very possible.
Because, we're saying like Porro was underutilised, but obviously he showed better than what Spence did on the left. But I think it has proven, this World Cup has proven that he can be better on the left than what we've seen in a Spurs shirt, for sure. Like I've said many a time, I think I would love to keep Spence around. Him, Porro, Robertson and Udogie as the fullback options for next season would be fantastic. But I don't know. I feel it's just more of a profiling thing than anything under Roberto De Zerbi. I don't think Roberto doesn't rate him in terms of what he is as a footballer. I think maybe he just doesn't rate him in terms of what of a footballer he can be in his system.
Yeah, I agree. I think most managers have obviously picked the Udogie over Spence whenever they're fit, and they've gone to him. But there's a lot of fans looking at thinking Udogie can never stay fit, and Jed, look how he plays on the left for England and in some performances for Tottenham. Is that not worth keeping over an Udogie who seems to be a bit of a sick note? I understand that way of thinking, and it's hard to argue that we have to, if we're relying on Udogie to stay fit. But you've got to remember, we've got Robertson now as well. He's going to share the load, and hopefully that means less burden on Udogie, and hopefully that can lead to him staying more fit. And if he does, I think he's probably still a better option than Spence there.
It might not even be a decision from Roberto whether he wants to keep him or sell him. It might be coming from Spence being like, look, we've got Porro here. He's obviously the number one choice. We've got Udogie and Robertson now on the left-hand side. Every time I've always been second fiddle to Udogie, and now Robertson's there as well. So maybe he's looking at the situation being like, I need to go play first-team football week in, week out. So maybe it's more of a thing led by Spence even.
It could be. It's very possible. Borgie says, if Arsenal want Rodgers, we should run up the price for him, make Arsenal pay through the nose.
100%. You mentioned that before, actually, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I think we should definitely do that. Go slap down the money for Morgan Rodgers and then see what Arsenal do.
Just keep outbidding them. Keep making them pay more. like an auction.
That would be pure shithousery.
No, I love that.
Brilliant.
I'd love it. They go 110, we go 120. They match it, we go 130. Just keep upping the price until they can't afford another signing this summer. That'll be absolutely brilliant. Or just force them to miss out on him and see what they do. That'll be absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So I think either way, slap down a big amount of money and ask the question to Arsenal, are you going to match it? Leon says, Bergval plus 50 for Rodgers or Romero plus 70 for Alvarez?
I'm going to go for Romero for Alvarez.
Plus 70.
Yeah.
Bit more money.
Money's no object.
Yeah, I would agree as well.
Both?
Huh?
Can't we do
and
both?
do both? Yeah, exactly. Spend 120 million plus Romero and Bergval. I would do it. That would up our team. Get players we want out. Get 2 unbelievable attackers. Imagine we did that. Oh my god! Imagine we entered the Alvarez race. No, that'd be too much. That'd be too much. No way is Alvarez coming to Tottenham. Surely not.
Oh god. Well, which one would you prefer?
I think Alvarez.
Yeah.
Just because he's more of a striker, maybe, and more of a goal getter than Rodgers. But then again, I do love Rodgers. He does also have that unbelievable strength and turn that we don't really have someone who can do that.
It's nice to dream, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very nice to dream. It's like dreaming of winning the lottery.
Well, we have won the lottery this summer, it seems like. The way they're splashing the cash. But look, those are your comments, guys. Thank you, everyone, for sending them in. Keep sending them in, and we'll keep reacting to them. But I believe that is all we have for you today. And have a good weekend, everyone. Unless anything major breaks over the weekend, we'll see you on Monday. Do remember to get your jerseys, any football shirts that you need from okjersey.com. The link is pinned to the live chat. You get further 10% off with the code SPURS. You get all your new Spurs shirts that are on there right now. Retro jerseys all on there. Some great training gear, hoodies, whatever. I'm not sure you need the hoodies in the heat right now, but they are there if you need them. I know you're shipping worldwide, so they must be somewhere cold right now that could do with a few hoodies. And yeah, World Cup shirts. If you're a shirt collector, you got all shirts around Europe, around the Premier League, and top quality. And do remember to get a size up, because they do come up a size short. So, but they're top quality, guys. So get yours today with okjersey.com. 10% off with your code Spurs pinned to the live chat. But that is all from us. We'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.